Hi, welcome to the second plenary of tonight's program, tonight or this morning's program, depending on where you are, of this year's UGC annual gathering. We have a wonderful panel for you right now. This plenary session wants to share with you how to connect people and students and faculty with real world sustainability projects. How do we increase our impact? This is a crucial way to do that. And to enlighten us on this and share, their experience, we have two wonderful women. One is Dr. Debra Rowe, president of the U.S. Partnership for Education for Sustainable Development, and she has a lifetime long experience with higher ed and how to increase our impact, increase our role in the world, and she'll share with us some of that wisdom. And the other is Wendy Olmstead. She's senior fellow at the U.S. Partnership for Education for Sustainable Development, and she's at California State University Stanislaus. She's the first sustainability coordinator there. And both of them will share with us what these two tools or ways to connect to real world projects as ways to increase the way our understudents connect. Is with the reality that needs to be changed. So thank you so much, Debra and Wendy, for joining us. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. Okay, so we really are excited to be able to share this with you. We actually have more than two items that we're going to share with you, and then we are going to have question and answer and discussion afterwards. So we will get started with our slides, and we're going to talk about how to connect people to real world projects for sustainability. So if you go back to the previous slide for just a minute, you'll see there that there is the link to the U.S. Partnership for Education for Sustainable Development. We have pretty extensive resources for not only the higher ed sector, but also for K-12, for communities. And so we want you to really take a look at it. The youth sector as well. Go under resources and also explore where it says take action. Okay, now next slide. So education for the SDGs, what is it really? Well, it's got to move beyond doom and gloom. We got a lot of students who know about climate change and what's happening, and they are actually getting depressed and they're getting cynical. And the last thing we need is more cynical young people, right, who are shut down and feel like they can't make a difference, or depressed young people. So we've got to go beyond doom and gloom. We've got to go beyond armchair pontification. Let's not give these assignments where they write a paper, it gets graded and it gets handed back, but it doesn't do anything. Students need to experience making a difference in the world so that they have a self-concept that they can be a change maker. Next. So we have to graduate students who actually see themselves and have the skills to be effective change makers. How do we do that? Well, through both our assignments that we give and also through the student activities that we organize and that they help us organize, involving students in real world projects to help shift societies to a more sustainable future. Next slide. So we need to be educating for solutions. Now, this didn't come just from me. There's a rich research literature on what the learning outcomes should be for education for sustainable development, and it consistently includes that we need to have systems thinking and action skills in what we share with our students, that they need to learn change management skills and also attitudes, the attitudes for resilience and persistence and for coping with disappointment, and for still moving forward and applied problem solving, not just in local communities, but also to be able to have the national and the global perspective, and also with civic engagement. A lot of campuses push students to sign up to vote, but then they don't teach them how to interact with their policymakers. And that's a key skill for any democracy, really for any country around the world. So next. Once again, I put this on both slides because it's so important. The key to this is to change what our assignments are and to change what we do in student activities, to engage our students in civic engagement, to shift societies to a more sustainable future. So they come out and they go of their schooling and they go, look what I did and look what I bumped up against and how I overcame it. Next slide. One of the resources we have to share with you is something we created at the U.S. Partnership for Education for Sustainable Development, and it's called Projects That Matter. You just go to that site, projectsthatmatter.org. It is free. It's a web platform. It's very much like Match.com, but it's not for dating. It's to connect practitioners, faculty, students, and volunteers so they can work together on research, applied research, and projects across the planet related to the Sustainable Development Goals. So you can go there to post projects that you want help with and also to find projects that you want to collaborate on. ProjectsThatMatter.org connects you to others for help with SDG projects and relevant research. Look, I've been working with, networks of cities and governors and heads of state. We've been working with the business community, and many of them say, we know what we need to do. We don't have the human capacity. Meanwhile, students and faculty want to work on real world problem solving. Well, some faculty and a lot of students. So let's connect them so that they can have these great experiences and build the skills they need to be change makers. So I ask businesses, the nonprofits, the government, practitioners, and the researchers, go register your projects on projectsthatmatter.org to get help with research implementation, project management, or evaluation. Sustainability practitioners, educators and students are looking to help you with real-world sustainable development projects. And what we found, because I ran the Detroit Green Skills Alliance, where we brought together businesses and government and nonprofits, and we looked at what we needed to do to grow the green economy. And we found that if we wanted student help, we had to go to multiple sites within each university, the departmental sites, to get the students to know that we wanted them to connect with us. So this site, projectsthatmatter.org, will save you many hours that it would normally take to recruit students or volunteers, they come here too, at multiple cumbersome university departmental websites. So we've made it easier for you. Next slide. Educators, students, and volunteers, go find projects. You can use them for a thesis. You can use them for a course assignment, for an independent study. You can do it for an internship. Or maybe you're already graduated, or you doesn't fit into any of those and you just want to be a volunteer. Anybody can go on this site and look for projects that they want to work on. Look, we've got a moonshot kind of setup, right? I mean, we need to act deeply and quickly to get this done, to prevent massive human suffering. So that is unnecessary because we already have a lot of the solutions. We just got to implement them, get them going. Next slide. So post projects, find projects, and connect. Next slide. Now, I just put on a couple of the examples of the projects that are on there, like creating a crowd investing platform for clean energy project financing, or improving transparency on corporate lobbying on climate. And here's one of my favorites. It's an urban agriculture for food security and job creation project in Ethiopia, where they're looking to create a policy framework. So that's just a few. Go ahead and look at what's there and add more. Okay, next slide. And I'm going to hand it over to Wendy, who will tell you about the other site.
Thank you, Debra. The National Union of Students for Good platform that you see here is open to university and college students of all ages and recent graduates through to 35 in all courses or levels. The platform connects students to colleges and universities, business and nonprofits, seeking affordable ways to conduct research and projects to make a difference in the real world. Hence the title, For Good. They are essentially creating a force for good. I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth between two screens here, and I've just lost my screen for a second. There we go. So the For Good platform is run by Students Organizing for Sustainability United Kingdom, a charity set up by students and staff at the National Union for Students in 2019 in response to the climate and ecological crises. The vision behind this platform is simple: A small and nimble organization is best suited to get more students involved in solving sustainability challenges, while at the same time making sustainability more inclusive. And it does this by connecting students to projects, research, and placements around the world. Every partnership is linked to an SDG so that students can align their interests with those of the potential partner. Here's how it works. Students register and use the platform for free. They indicate their main areas of interest and expertise. Organizations register and create profiles and then both of them can search the database to find their perfect opportunity or match. Membership costs vary for organizations based on annual revenue and their nonprofit or profit status. Let's take a closer look at the projects, placements, and research. First, for good projects are designed with learning and doing in mind. So students and their partner organization are encouraged to align their projects with a course module for academic credits. Examples of a project are listed here. They may include creating communication materials, design and making an innovative sustainable product, or creating short films or videos. Students who have participated in research projects report that in addition to learning new skills, the real-life impact of a project teaches them to communicate, engage with people outside of academia, which is a really crucial skill upon graduation. For good research, connect students' interests and expertise with organizations to conduct impactful research together. Again, the process is simple. Students and organizations find each other through mutual interest via the platform. In initial meetings, they agree on goals, research methods, deliverables, and this may include a research summary or presentation or a brief video. Here is an example of one of the many projects. UMCA Exeter wants to explore just how feasible a sustainable lifestyle is for young people, especially those with low incomes or that may have been homeless. The researchers want to find out, are choices such as organic, low carbon, or veganism attainable for everyone? And if not, how can we help bridge that gap? The For Good platform is unique in that it also provides placements with nonprofits, public sector organizations, and businesses, so students can get hands-on experience. In keeping with SOS UK's goal to make sustainability inclusive, placements need to provide students with a minimum living wage to ensure that they are able to participate, regardless of their economic status. Not only are placements a valuable experience for students, partners report that a fresh set of eyes often provides their employees with a new perspective, and that can move their work in a more new, effective direction. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Debra.
Okay, so, when we first applied, we said we would tell you about these two sites. They're wonderful sites. But I also want to tell you about a few other resources that are very complementary. EpicN is a wonderful model of how to connect communities with higher ed institutions. So they have this portal. You click on whether you're part of the community, you're part of the higher ed institution, and then you can learn all sorts of information about how to effectively connect. It's not just listing of projects and connecting. They actually show you how to have a person at your university who kind of coordinates with the community and helps the students and makes sure that they're being very helpful to the communities. They're not just extracting what they need for their paper or their own project and to get the grade. This is about really making a difference in the world. EpicN has some great resources on that. Next slide. So what EpicN does is it's a model. It's simple, but it's powerful. It brings together, and this is its own description, but I have to tell you, I sit on the advisory committee here, and I found that what they say is true. It brings together the greatest resources in academia, professors, students, laboratories, research libraries, existing curriculum, and creatively draws them together to tackle the biggest challenges in local communities. The results are felt immediately as students get involved with lasting transformative effects, solutions that might never be imagined through traditional structures. Public goodwill toward the university increases. And of course, we get real world learning for the students and meaningful change felt throughout the community. When you do this work, it also reduces apathy in students. It's not just reducing doom and gloom. And it also brings forward who they can be in the world. They may never have had somebody who said to them, you can be a change maker in the world. If we aren't doing that in our higher ed institutions, we're missing out on part of our wonderful mission for higher ed. Next slide. So all of these links I'm talking about are in your chat. So go ahead and copy them and you can explore them at another time. The Higher Education Sustainability Initiative is a partnership. It's made up of multiple United Nations agencies and also the higher ed networks for sustainability around the globe. And we work on all sorts of initiatives together. And I want to encourage you to learn about this and get more involved. So just some of the projects. We're doing an assessment and rankings and rating analysis to see the way that we rank schools right now and the way that we rate them and the kinds of assessments we use. How do they relate to sustainability and the SDGs? How can we make them better? Secondly, the SDG Publishers Compact. If you haven't gone to that site and seen it, you just Google that in and I didn't give you the link, but Google it in, or you can go to HESI, it'll show it to you. We're going to add up a whole page soon. The SDG Publishers Compact says that publishers around the world who sign on, and many of them have, and more every day, are committed to reducing their own carbon footprint to help stabilize climate, and also to get the SDGs into textbooks, into research journals. So we just recently created and presented the top 10 steps that editors and reviewers can take to make sure that the articles that we publish in our research, in our journals, are related to the SDGs, and that the impact factors that we use to rate journals take that into account. So this is a very exciting movement going forward. We hope you'll learn more about it so that you can be on board in your institution with helping research be more aligned with accomplishing the SDGs. We also create UN agency partnerships. Oftentimes those partnerships are also with our higher ed networks for sustainability. Like in the US, we have 60 national higher ed associations that for 17 years have been part of networks engaged in getting sustainability infused through all the different parts of the higher ed institutions. And we're still not done with that work, but we've got a lot of great resources to share. And that's just my US example. I mean, we've got networks in Africa, all over the world. And finally, we work on this race to zero in higher education. This is not finally everything we do, but it's just the examples I brought to you. It's very important that we get to net zero, that we help to stabilize climate and prevent the worst impacts of climate change. And so that information is there. Institutions can sign up. They get resources. Please go take a look. Okay, next slide. I have a few more key resources for you. Oh, I have the link there for the Race to Zero in the middle. But on the top, the U.S. partnership just co-published with the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, a global guidance document for higher education. Who's it for in higher education? It's for faculty, academic leaders and administrators, and career advisors. What are we focusing on in this global guidance doc? Green careers, how we need to update our curricula so that it helps to produce the green and inclusive and more sustainable workforce that we need. It includes a framework, and I'll tell you, we found that there were all sorts of resources coming from multiple NGOs and UN agencies, and we took about a year to put together everything, to cull out what we thought were the best that would also inform this framework, and to make it all available to you in a one-stop shop. We have a really important role to play in getting this workforce ready so we can scale up the solutions that we need, definitely for climate change and also for all of the SDGs. So please take a look at that document and use it. We're glad to come in and give you, technical assistance. I mean, I'm past like having to make money. Let's just get this thing done. And so I'm here, we can do webinars for you. We can do workshops for you. Don't let dollars hold you back. So then you've got the link for Race to Zero. And then the last one is the SULI test. That's the Sustainability Literacy Test and Learning Tool. It's been used in like 85 countries, and it's really a great learning tool where you can figure out and it's free for higher ed institutions. What do your students actually know about the SDGs? And what do they know about the mindset of being a change maker for the future? And it gives you really good feedback that you can use so that then the rest of your course is more aligned with what the students actually need instead of just what you wrote in your syllabi a few months ago. So I love that resource as well. Okay, and so what we've done now is we are putting it into the chat, and you can explore them on your own. It's already in the chat. Just scroll up. It's in there. I want to say to you, congratulations. Look, you're here, right? In this event, it means you care. You're engaged in solutions. So congratulations for everything you've already done. Even more so, congratulations for everything you're going to do in the future. I've had the privilege of being able to work with hundreds of institutions and giving them resources for professional development for their faculty and staff. I know how great it feels when you're part of the solution, and we're here to assist you. So I want to thank Wendy. I couldn't do this without her great work. And if you need to contact us, there's my email. So we will now open it up to questions and answers. Does anybody have any questions? And I think we have a wonderful tech person here if somebody wants to speak, because we can't see any of you. So while people are thinking about what their questions might be, I want to share with you that about 3 weeks ago, I was asked to do a short write-up of what would I say to world leaders. And I put you all in the list of world leaders because here you are engaging and building the solutions. To bust through that we're not doing things fast enough, that we are going to destabilize climate if we don't change. So here's what I want to share with you. I want you to act like this is really a crisis. I want you to look at your day-to-day activities and go, you know, if a car was coming at me and I was going to get hit by the car, what would I do to not get hit? Because that's what climate change is going to feel like. It's going to feel like a horrendous car crash for the whole planet. It'll be a tragedy, and we're already seeing those tragedies. So go to your meetings and say, we've got to change our daily activities so that we can handle this crisis. Show up in committees that you weren't there before and say, you know, I think we really need to raise this issue of how we can contribute to handling the crisis. And move people. Now, people are uncomfortable with change. Change is uncomfortable, even positive change. So I encourage you all to get comfortable with being uncomfortable so that we can make these positive changes that we need. Once again, we're here to support you. So Arturo, are there questions? What do you think?
I don't see them now. I see great comments, thankful comments for all you have contributed. I was also copy pasting the links and the resources from the chat. There's a question from Yi Xiong Xin from Seed Studio IoT Open Tech in Shenzhen, China.
Okay, and you're curious if you
SDG solutions, or if you're up for it. An interesting question.
That's a great question. So I think I would need to understand what you mean by prototyping SDG solutions. There's a lot of solutions that are already out there. I think what we've got to think about now is how to scale them. How do you scale them up? So let me just give you some examples. You know, a finance professor, why aren't they teaching blended finance for scaling up renewables around the world, right? You've got a marketing teacher. Why aren't those assignments all around what we know about changing consumer behavior and what we can do to not only change the behavior of consumers, but change the behavior of investors, change the behavior of corporations so that we get to the sustainability kinds of practices that we need. So I guess what I would want to do if there was an open tech provider is say, let's prototype scaling, not just the solutions. So I'm a professor of renewable energy technology, energy management this is my 42nd year. So I'm pretty clear that a lot of the solutions are already out there. at least to meet the 2030 goals of reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. We're going to need some new technology, and that's why we have researchers to get to that 2050 net zero. But a lot of the solutions are even there with the other SDGs as well. Some of it's about political will, some of it's about power. Make sure all your students know how to do a formal power analysis and an informal power analysis. Where are the leverage points for systemic change? And once they find a leverage point for systemic change, how do they build a coalition of stakeholders so that they know before that policy or that proposal is put forward, they've counted the votes, they know it will pass. That's coalition building. So sometimes you can't know, you just have to put it out there. But lots of times, if you do the work of being a change maker, you can help shift the norms. I would also love to see in this open tech provider, let's tell the stories about how the World Federation of Engineering Organizations are changing their accreditation standards to deepening what you need to do in engineering schools so that they actually get out not only knowing how to do sustainability, but knowing how to communicate it to the firms they go to, many of whom are still living in the old world that isn't functional. So they've got to actually convince their new bosses they need to change. There's a lot that we could prototype. And it looks like Matt has an idea about that. Oh, you've got a session coming up. Scaling sustainable impact through university-based social innovation accelerators. Ooh, sounds good. Worth looking up.
That's tomorrow on Block C of concurrent sessions. So that's wonderful, Matt. Thank you. And it seems like there are connections already happening here, and that's part of the goal of this gathering.
I do want to share one thing, and I wish that we'd done it here, but you guys asked us to talk about something in particular. You know, I've been doing keynotes for a long time, and I no longer normally do these keynotes. What I do instead is I go into a session, I say, put in the chat, where are you stuck? So put in the chat, where are you stuck right now? And then my whole speech is just how to overcome your stuck points. If you guys are in a position, one other thing that's important, we have fellows. So maybe you're in a position where you're limited in what you can do at your institution, but you want to have a national or an international impact, come and talk to us. We've got all sorts of fellows projects that are national and international. We also wanted to, Matt put another resource in there. Make sure to check that out, right? But we also, we want to make sure that you are feeling empowered, right? So you can reach out to us. I'm great for, walking in the woods and helping to solve your problems at the same time, whether it's WhatsApp or whether it's Zoom or however you can connect. We're here to support you, and we need to support our students as well, so we can shift the norms. This is about norm shifting and celebrating the potential of the human species for who they really can be on this planet. One other thing, just because I don't see another question. Sustainability at its core is about loving people beyond your family and friends. So if you really truly want to live a spiritual life that is fulfilling, open your heart. Yes, you'll feel some of the pain of the tragedy, of course, but you'll also feel all this love of these people all over the planet who are working on this. And when you naturally care for people beyond family and friends, sustainability, of course, follows. Of course.
Of course. And it's a great point, if I may comment, Debra, because it's sustainability, it's about human beings, right? In the ecosystem that we need to survive beyond the planet. Indeed, of course, the planet does have but it's us who are at risk. Anyway, we're right on time, as we've had a great first day. When we saw your panel, we knew this had to be open to all participants, and of course it's being recorded, so this is going to be part of the legacy from this year's gathering. So thank you so much to both of you for the work you do first, and for sharing it with us tonight, this morning. And to Matt,
Edward asked for a model of interdisciplinary collaboration. I'm going to put a resource in the chat for interdisciplinary collaboration, because you've got great resources there, so you can look to it. And it's at aishi.org. And then you just look at our Disciplinary Associations Network for Sustainability. Look at the resources. There's all sorts of good stuff there on interdisciplinary work. We also have to change standards in the major. Anybody who wants to work on accreditation standards with us, let us know.
I'm with you. That's one of the major changes we need to see. I'm completely with you. Copy pasting here as well.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you
so much. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. And thank you for everyone who joined. We are now moving on to networking sessions for those interested. We have a few. Actually, some of us will be on SDG2 networking sessions just to share anything you may want to talk about on that regard. So thank you so much. Good evening, good night, good morning. Debra and Wendy also have a networking session. That's great. Wonderful. That's another one of the sessions that we have right now. So go into the networking feature in your Hoping platform. Thank you, Debra. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
An honor to have you.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.